Okay, week 5, graph the equation, identify the domain and range. Okay, so number 1, y equals 3x to the power of 2 minus 7. So we'll make our graph. Now, if we have x to the second, it's a quadratic equation. It's not a linear equation, so that means it makes a U shape. A parabola is what that's called, so you need 3 points. And we need to find the domain and range, x, y. Okay, now label your A, B, C. That's A, there's no B, that's a C. So if there's no B, then the middle x is 0. And then we add 1, and then from 0 to 0, and then minus 1. And then I plug that in on a calculator. So 3 times 1 to the second minus 7, I got negative 4. If I plug 0 in, I get negative 7. If I plug negative 1 in, I should be back to negative 4. I am. Okay. So 1, negative 4, you go forward 1, down 4. 0, negative 7, you go down further, label that middle. Okay, that's important to label. Negative 1, negative 4. So there's my graph. Now the domain and range. Now the domain is all, because it goes on. But if through that middle point, it's on both sides, so that's why it's all. Now you put negative 7 for your range, and you're only above that, so it's greater than or equal to. Okay, number 2. Y is equal to negative 1x to the second minus 2. So I know I need with the x second, it's a quadratic equation. Okay. So A, and that's a C. So again, we have 0, 1, negative 1. Then I plug those into the equation for x. So negative 1 times 1 to the second minus 2 is negative 3. Click up, now you put 0, it's negative 2, and you'll be back to negative 3. So I go forward 1, down 3. I don't move forward at all, I just go down 2. Label that middle every time. Okay, and then negative 1, negative 3, so backwards 1, down 3. Okay, so domain, range, x, y. So the domain is all because it goes on both sides, but the range is not all. It's the negative 2 is your critical point, and you just go below that, so less or equal to negative 2. Okay, number 3. Y equals negative 2x squared plus 10x minus 1. This time it appears we have a B. Okay, so again, 3 points, and you have to and you need your domain and range. Okay, that's an A. Now we have a B. We have a C. So when we have a B, we have to use a certain formula. It's opposite of B divided by 2 times A. So the opposite of plus 10 is minus 10, and the A is negative 2. Okay, so 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 10 divided by negative 4 is 2.5, so that's the middle. Now if you add 1, it's 3.5. You subtract 1, it's 1.5. Then you can plug decimals in. So we have negative 2, 3.5 to the second, plus 10, 3.5, minus 1. So I got 9.5. Okay. Now I click up. Now I want 2.5. And I'm at 11.5. Then I'll be back to 9.5 with the other one. So 3.5, 9.5, somewhere there. 2.5, 11.5. You wouldn't go forward as far, but you'd go up higher. and 1.5, 9.5. I know that looks crappy, but it is what it is. Label the middle, 2.5, 11.5. So it's a U, okay? And again, the domain is all. Parabolas, the domain's always unrestricted. But the range, draw a horizontal line through that middle point, and you have only below, so less than or equal to 11.5. Okay, so there we have it. Okay, number 4. Y equals x to the second minus 3x plus 2. So we got an A, a B, and a C. So I set up my 3 coordinates. In the middle, since there is a B, we go opposite of B divided by 2 times A. So opposite of minus 3 is plus 3, and then A is 1. Now 2 times 1 is 2, and 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. So when we add 1, it's 2.5, and then 0.5. Then I plug them in. So 1, 2.5 to the second, minus 3, 2.5, plus 2, 0.75. And I click up, and now it's 1.5, negative 0.25. Click up, and now you go 0.5. Should be back to 0.75, which it is. That's why that formula works, okay? It takes you back to where you started. And I know the domain's all, okay? Even before I graph. So 2.5, 0.75 is up just a little. Then 1.5 down just a little because it's negative. And then back there. The points are close together. That's okay. Label that middle. 1.5 comma negative 0.25. Okay. Okay, now the range is not unrestricted. You make a horizontal line through that middle and you're above it, so it's greater than or equal to negative 0.25, because that's the Y. Okay. Alright. Some of those were kind of annoying with the decimals, but we got through them. Okay, solve the equation. Okay, all these have 2 answers. Now, after you know there's 2 answers, you have to label it A, B, and C. So that's A, that's B, that's C. So we have A, B, C. With an A, B, C, first we make sure we're equal to 0. They all should be on one side. Then I set up my discriminant. 2 parentheses, B squared minus 4A and C. If I get a decimal, I'm going to go with the quadratic formula, the sum. If I don't, I'm going to make my GCF T box. So 11 to the second minus 4, 1, negative 26. Obviously, I didn't get a decimal, so I'm going to go GCFT. I want to try to factor the expression. That means the expression can be written in 2 parentheses, where I can do my F1, F2. So GCF would be 1. You can't do X, it's just 1, so get rid of it. Then I take A times C. 1 times negative 26 is negative 26. Now the way to get a negative is taking a positive times a negative. And we're adding to try to get it to plus 11. So 26 divided by 1 is 26. Nope, that's negative 25. Divide by 2, you get 13. Now let's add those. Okay, I'm going to circle that. I just have to change the signs around. Plus, minus. Now the A is 1, so you can delete the 1 as long as it's 1, and you just need an XX parentheses. So X minus 2, X plus 13. And then F1, F2. So X minus 2 could equal 0, X plus 13 could equal 0. So we'll add 2, and That gives me 2 minus 13, and that gives me negative 13. So 2 and negative 13. Okay, number 6, x to the second minus 25 equals 0. So there's 2 answers. But this time we don't have an A, B, C. We have an A, we don't have a B, and we have a C. ACs are easy to solve. No boxes necessary. You just add 25. You get the x squared by itself. Divide by the number, 1. And then I find the square root of 25, which is 5. So 5 or negative 5. ACs are the easiest. I love those. They take 30 seconds. Okay, number 7. X to the second minus 19x plus 80 equals negative 8. So 2 answers. So we have A, B, C, and that's a C2. Now you have A, B, C. You need to get one. You got to get everything to one side. So we plus 8, and there's a C over there for me to add 8 to. So I have 1x to the second minus 19x plus 88 equals 0. Now I evaluate the discriminant to know what I have to do next. It'll save time in the long run. Okay, so B. B would be negative 19. Make sure you get the 2 parentheses there. Minus 4. A is 1, C is 88. Okay, obviously not a decimal, so I do my GCF and T. Try to write it into factored form. GCF would be 1, so you get rid of it. 1 times 88 is positive 88, so we got a positive, so put the signs the same. What's negative up there, you do positive, negative. If it's positive, do negative, negative. You can switch them to positive, positive later if you have to. Add to negative 19. Well, it wouldn't be 1 and 88. Divide by 2, you get 44. Well, that's not it. Decimal on 3. 4 and 22, that would be negative 26, so it's not that. Decimal, 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 8 and 11, okay? Add those, you get negative 19. So A is 1 again, so you can just make 2 parentheses with x minus 8 for F1 and x minus 11 for F2. So x minus 8 could equal 0. X minus 11 could equal 0. So you add 8, that'd be 8. You plus 11, that'd be 11. Okay, 8 and 11 are the 2 possible solutions. Okay, number 8, x to the power of 2 minus 5x equals negative 4x. Remember, you got to label your A, B, and C. So that's A. That has an X, so that's a B, and that's a B. So it's just A, B. Now, when we have just A, B, you have to move everything to one side, okay? So add 4x, and you can add that to the B there, and that would be 1x to the second minus 1x. Negative 5 plus 4 is negative 1. And then all you need is on an AB, all you need is a GCF box, okay? So 1 and 1, the GCF is 1, but we would need to put an X with it because these both have X, okay? There's not that C without the X, so I bring 1x out and I go up and divide. So that's 1x minus 1. And now I have my F1 and F2. So AB, remember, ABC, you got to do all this stuff, okay? ACs, if you have A and C, you just got to do this with the square root. A and B, you get everything to one side and just do the GCF, and you'll have your 2 factors. So 1x equals 0, 1x minus 1 equals 0. So divide by 1, you get 0, plus 1, plus 1. So x is 1. 0 and 1 are the 2 possible solutions. Okay, number 9. Negative 3x to the second plus 7x equals negative 10. Okay, so you got an A, B, and a C. Okay, so you got to get everything to one side. So we'd add 10, but if there's not a C over there, we put plus 10 up here by itself. So we now have A, which is negative 3x squared, B, which is positive 7x, and C, which is positive 10. Okay? Now, evaluate your discriminant. B squared minus 4AC. So second square root, get that second parentheses, you're going to have 7 to the second minus 4, negative 3, and 10. Okay, I got a whole number, so again, we're going to use our GCF and table. Now the GCF can be a little bit misleading. On a multiplication chart, those would be in the first row, but if there's a negative in front, you got to do negative 1. You wouldn't do an X. But since you're doing negative 1, you're going to factor that out, and you're going to divide all these by negative 1. So that's everything. When you divide by negative 1, the signs just change. So minus 7x minus 10. Okay, now ABC from here, not the parentheses, no longer there. 3 times negative 10 is negative 30, so it's a positive times a negative. And if we divide 30 by 3, we get 10, because we're adding to get to negative 7, and right there is good. Now your A is a 3 now. You can't just get rid of it if it's 3. You need to make 2 sets of parentheses, and you lead off with the 3. And you put x plus 3 and x minus 10. That negative 1 right there technically goes here, but if it doesn't have an x, I would just ignore it. It's not going to be important. 3 and 3 divided by 3, so that'd be 1x plus 1. Those divided by 1, that would stay the same. So we got our F1, F2. Okay, so 1x minus 1 equals 0, 3x minus 10 equals 0. So we add 1 and divide by 1, which is 1. Okay, here we add 10, divide by 3. That's a decimal. You can write the decimal or just put 10 over 3. Okay, it was a little tricky. Okay, number 10. X to the second plus 4x equals 1, so that's 2 answers. And we have A, that's a B, that's a C. A, B, C, everything's got to go to one side, so I'm minus 1. There's no C over there, so I just put minus 1 beside it. So I have A, 1x squared, B, plus 4x, minus 1 is my C equals 0. Okay? Now I go evaluate my discriminant. I use the b squared minus 4ac. Plug it into a calculator. So 4 to the second minus 4, 1, negative 1. Got a decimal, so that means we're going quadratic formula. That means it's prime expression. The t-chart won't work. You'll never find the two numbers. So the opposite of b would be net minus 4. Cross out this square root because we already know it's 4.47. And then a is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. So really we just have negative 4 plus 4.47 divided by 2, 0.24 or 23, I don't really care. Then I take negative 4 minus 4.47 divided by 2, negative 4.24. Okay, number 11. 4x to the second minus 100 equals 0. So there are two answers here. What do we have? We have A with C, no B. And never label 0. Don't ever label 0. ACs are the best because you can just add 100, then divide by 4, then do the square root. Okay, so that's 25. Then the square root of 25 is 5, so it could be 5 or negative 5. I think I got that on the other AC too. Okay, number 12. We have 5x to the second power minus 8x equals 8 minus 5x. Doesn't look like a fun one, but we'll get through it. So that's an A, that's a B, that's a C, and that's a B. A, B, and C is all here, so you got to get rid of this side. So you're going to minus 8, and there's no C over there, so we put minus 8 beside it. And then we plus 5x. Now that's a B. Now there's a B over here, so I can plus 5x to that, to the negative 8. So A, we got 5x squared. B, we have to take negative 8 plus 5, that's negative 3x. Then C is negative 8. Okay. Now go evaluate your discriminant. So second square root, double it, negative 3 to the second, minus 4, 5, negative 8. Okay, again, I didn't get a decimal, so I set up my GCF and my table. Okay, GCF, 5, 3, and 8 is 1, and you wouldn't do an X, so get rid of that. So, and it would be positive 1 this time, because the 5 in the front, the A term's positive, okay? When that A term's negative, that's when you do negative 1. 5 times negative 8 is negative 40, so it's a positive times a negative, and we're adding to try to get to negative 3. 1 and 40, nope. Divide by 2, you get 20, nope. 40 divided by 3 is a decimal. 40 divided by 4 is 10, that's negative 6. 40 divided by 5 is 8. Okay, that's negative 3. Okay, now my A is a 5. So if it's not a 1, I need to set up 2 sets. So I go 5, 5, x plus 5, and x minus 8. 5 and 5, we divide by 5, and that's 1x plus 1. If it's the same number, you divide by that number. 5 and 8 would stay 5x minus 8. Okay, so F1, F2. So 1x plus 1 equals 0. 5x minus 8 equals 0. So I minus 1. I get negative 1. Divide by 1, you'd still have negative 1. Then I add 8. Divide by 5, that's still going to be 8 over 5. You can put the decimal, that's fine, but... Okay, number 13. 12x to the second plus 16x minus 28 equals 0. So there's 2 answers. And A, B, C, we're already lined up. The equation's lined up. Just go find your discriminant. B squared minus 4AC. Okay, so B, 16 to the second minus 4. A is 12. C is negative 28. I got it. I did not get a decimal, so that means I'm going to do the GCF table. I want to do it like that. Now on a multiplication chart, 12, 16, and 28 would all be in the 4th row. You wouldn't put X with it, but since it's 4, you go through with it. So it's going to be 3x to the second plus 4x minus 7. And that's the new ABC now. And I'll line that 4, all that does is line up down here. Okay. So 3 times negative 7 is 21 negative. You're adding to try to get to plus 4, and if you divide this by 3, you get 7. Now that adds to negative 4, so we plus and minus. Okay, A is 3 up there. It's not 12, it's 3 now. Okay. So I need 2 sets. So I go 3, 3, x, x minus 3 plus 7. Divide by 3 here, you get 1x minus 1. And that stays the same right there. And that is not important. You can just get rid of that. You don't even have to drop it down if you don't want to. Okay, so 1x minus 1 could equal 0. 3x plus 7 could equal 0. So I plus 1. 1x equals 1. Divide by 1 is 1. That's going to be negative 7 over 3. So negative 7 over 3. Okay, number 14. X to the second plus 6x plus 9 equals 25. So there are two answers. So you got A, B, C, and C. So again, you have to get, you would put that C with the plus 9. And we have 1x squared plus 6x minus 16 equals 0. Then I apply the discriminant formula. Go from there. So 6 to the second minus 4, 1, negative 16. Again, we got a whole number, so again, it's GCFT. 1, 6, and 16 would be 1. It'd be positive 1 because our A is positive and there's no X, so we get rid of that. 1 times negative 16 is negative 16, so it's a positive times a negative, and we have to add the two factors to make positive 6. It's two factors of negative 16 that would add to positive 6, and that would be 2 and 8. Okay, but that's negative 6, so we got to have plus 8 and minus 2. A is 1, so get rid of your 1 because that's good. We can just go x minus 2 times x plus 8 equals 0. So x minus 2 could equal 0, or x plus 8 could equal 0. So we add 2. We get 2 for the first answer. We get negative 8 for the second answer. So 2 and negative 8. Okay. Alright, story problems. Number 15. A video store sells 150 DVDs per week at a price of $20 each. The owner estimates that for each $1 decrease in price, 25 more DVDs will be sold each week. How can the owner maximize revenue? Maximize, you draw a big parabola, because at the top is your maximum. And to find the x, it's opposite of b divided by 2 times a. And to find the y, we just replace x in the equation with whatever that is, plug in. Now, you got to have an a, b, and a c. So y equals blank x squared, that's your a, b, and c. Well, I need to do some work here, okay? Y is going to be my dollars, and when you're finding revenue, the cost, you take the dollars you charge times the items you sell. You need two parentheses, and you're going to apply the FOIL method later. Okay, now the dollars. $20 is what we start at. And then we go down by $1. We're going to 19 to 18 to 17 to 16. It's got to stop somewhere, otherwise we're going to be giving the DVDs away for free. So I subtract 1x, because I don't know how many times we subtract the 1. And the items we sell, 150 and 25. So if that's minus, this is plus. And then I apply the FOIL method. So I take 20 times 150. 20 times 25x, then negative 1x times 150, and negative 1x times 25x. So this is 3,000. Now it doesn't have an x, so that's a C. This is 500x, that would be a B. Negative 150x, that would be a B. And negative 25x to the second, that would be a C. Okay. Okay, so for your A, or no, that's an A. That's an A because it's x squared. My bad, that's an A. So negative 25 is your A. you add the B's, 500 to negative 150 is 350, and then the C is 3,000. Then you come back up here, okay? Opposite of B, negative 350. And then we have 2 times A, which is negative 25, and that's negative 50. So I divide negative 350 by negative 50, that's 7. That's how many times you change a price. So you went 20 and you subtracted $1 7 times. That would take you to $13, but the 7 change is what we want. And the Y is academic. From there, you just plug 7 in. $4,225 will be how much money I can make. That's the most money. That's your answer. 7 changes results in $4,225. Okay, number 16. A banner length is 15 longer than its width. The area is 100 square feet. What are the dimensions of the banner? So you got to find the length and the width. So you're talking area. You set up the area equation. Length times width's the area, but we know the area is 100. Now you got to use that is, because you can't just go L and W. That doesn't help. So equals. In front of is, you see length, and you put your W. Now, you don't see the word twice, okay? You just see the 15 longer. So all you do is plus 15. You will not be putting a 2 or any number in front of the W. So you just cross out the L's and put W plus 15. And this is going to be W. Okay? Now you apply the distribution, or the FOIL. It's not really a FOIL, but... And then 1W... and then 15 times 1W. Just 2 multiplications. So 1W squared, 15W. That's an A, that's a B. So I'd just write 1W squared plus 15W equals 100. Okay, so there's 2 answers for W. And this is an A, that's a B, that's a C. You just move the 100 over by subtracting it. There's no C to put it with. And then I apply my discriminant, just like a normal. Now it's just like a normal problem, okay? Just like a normal problem. So I go second square root, B is 15 to the second minus 4, 1, negative 100. Ooh, I didn't get a decimal, so I'm going with the GCF in the table. GCF would be 1, it wouldn't have a variable. Because there's a C, it wouldn't be negative, so get rid of it. 1 times negative 100 is negative 100, so positive times negative, and we're adding to try to get plus 15. Eventually, if you divide this by 5, you get 20. That adds up to negative 15, so if I go plus, minus, I got it, okay? Your A is 1, so you get to get rid of the 1, and it would be just W minus 5 times W plus 20. So W minus 5 could equal 0, W plus 20 could equal 0. So if I add 5, I get 5. If I minus 20, I get negative 20. Okay, get rid of the negative. Your W is 5. And then to find the length, you just come up here and go 5 plus 15. That would be 20. Okay, so 20 and 5 are the dimensions.